Affirm shares flying high as the company tops earnings estimates, posting a surprise profit. Affirm citing general merchandise and consumer electronics categories contributing significantly to the growth. The buy now, pay later provider also highlighting it is in the strongest shape it's ever been. And joining us now is Affirm founder and CEO Max Levchin. Max, it is good to see you. So you report investors clearly like what they see, Max. Your stock rips more than 20% in today's trade. Walk us through the quarter, Max.
Palantir-esque, is that what you guys just invented on air? I can only aspire. Great quarter. There's nothing to apologize for, as they say. Saw really strong demand in a whole bunch of categories. No surprise, travel remains really strong. We're still seeing 4-handle growth now, and just anticipation of Super Bowl, et cetera. Electronics have done really well, all across. And the real reason for why we did so well is consumer preference. Folks are choosing Affirm at the point of sale because we have built a better mousetrap. It's a better product, and it's finally clear, not just to consumers, but also, I think, to the shareholders, but it's certainly done well for a lot of people this holiday season.
And Max, I'm curious, we have been trying to sort of read the tea leaves on how the U.S. economy is doing and how it is going to do, given a lot of headlines that are flying around. We saw that reflected in consumers' inflation expectations today. I'm wondering if you are seeing this in evidence anywhere in the spending patterns that you're tracking through Affirm. If there are any areas where people are looking for value or where they are spending less right now.
Generally speaking, U.S. consumer is healthy. There is not a problem with the U.S. consumer. There are definitely real winners and losers in the merchant ecosystem. Consumers are choosy. They look for folks that give them great deals. We saw massive growth of 0% APR transactions, which is where the merchant subsidizes the cost of borrowing. And so there are absolutely people looking for a reason to say yes and to buy, but folks are shopping, they're borrowing, and they're paying us back. You saw our delinquency numbers are below last quarter's and in line with our expectations, better than in line. And so the U.S. economy is on solid footing. And on the one hand, inflation obviously is not a great thing. On the other, as far as Affirm's business is concerned, when things become a little bit too expensive to afford in a single purchase, we're there to help. We are literally the antidote of inflation. So in some ways, we see a little bit more demand if inflation expectations go up a little.
Max, I got to ask you, when you see results like this, are you taking share, Max? And if so, who are you taking share from?
Everyone last quarter, if I'm allowed a moment to brag, we know from public data, we outgrew our nearest North American competitor by 10 points, globally by 20. We've increased our numbers within e-commerce, so we're taking share from credit cards, which we were founded as the antidote to revolving credit, and it seems to be resonating with consumers really strongly. And offline, we're there to compete with credit cards, but we're also there to compete with cash. And fundamentally, digital payments, the entire industry exists to replace cash. And so more than anything, I think that's the loser, and good riddance, but we were kind of the winners all around.
Max, I think we've talked about this before, but I'm curious to get your view now on, obviously credit cards are still huge, right? But I'm curious, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, how you think that balance looks between buy now, pay later, or sort of the debit ecosystem versus the credit card system.
It's a great question, and I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you exactly what those numbers look like. We know that in economies where credit cards are not as deeply held by the consumers, buy now, pay later in one form or another grew all the way up to high 20s. And so we think we're very far. For comparison, we are in a single digit of US e-commerce. We just launched in Europe, and so we have a lot to grow there. So there's plenty of TAM to go. That's definitely true. What I really am curious about, and we're doing things to bring that future along, I think majority of U.S. debit cards and maybe worldwide debit cards will have a buy now, pay later feature built into them. I think the world of credit cards are the only way of paying over time is coming to an end, and debit cards will gain the rightful share.
Max, I want to ask you about the mega trend of AI. Investors are obviously very excited about that trend. Of course, the job for investors, try to distinguish between what's real, what's meaningful, and marketing fluff, Max. I am interested. Affirm, how are you all leveraging that technology now and ahead?
I greatly appreciate the interest in actual AI use versus the marketing kind. We are an AI company through and through from inception. We don't love to throw around the terms, especially as it became more popular. We pretty much stopped talking about it. But our underwriting is entirely machine driven. You wouldn't be able to underwrite millions and millions of transactions per week unless you're fully automated it. And machine learning and AI indeed is what powers that. In the sort of more recent, chat style AI, we use that extensively in our customer support. We always allow you to escalate to a human, but 2/3 of our inbound customer service queries are handled by a chatbot that connects to our database and our knowledge base and helps folks navigate whatever ails them in the moment. And then internally, sort of even less obviously, where not where it meets the eye, we use all sorts of really, really cool cutting edge AI models to figure out everything from fraud to abuse of the system. Also things like merchant marketing, we observe and react to misuse of the Affirm name or misrepresentation of what Affirm will and will not finance. So we use AI in all kinds of different ways. We don't sell AI. We don't really have a massive CapEx earmarked for AI at all. We are buyers of tools by others and primarily builders of our own tools, which allows us to control the costs.
And Max, just a quick follow on this. I mean, I just was looking at a number that you guys have around 2,000 employees. Is that correct?
That's right.
So that doesn't seem like a lot of people for the size of a company like Affirm. And is that because of what you're talking about? And do you expect that headcount to sort of be fairly stable even as you grow, or do you expect to hire more folks?
That's right. And if you actually look at our headcount historically, we've kept it basically flat for the last year or two because we've been able to find operating leverage by deploying more and more software tools. It doesn't just have to be AI. The company was founded by 4 computer scientists, and we've stayed true to the idea of it's better to build software and solve the problem with machines than by hiring more people, and we'll definitely continue to approach the world that way.
Max, finally, if you'll permit us, I want to ask about your old colleague, Elon Musk, and what he's currently doing now. You guys, of course, co-founded PayPal, and built that into an amazing company, but you had your ups and downs, I've read, over the years. What do you make of what's currently happening with Doge and what he's doing to government, given your own experience with him?
We're friends, yet he's got a bunch of things he's working on. He's a busy man. We don't spend a lot of time talking, but fundamentally, the idea of bringing this fresh breath of entrepreneurial energy to the government, to my mind, is kind of long overdue. U.S. was this great startup of a country a couple of 100 years ago, and a lot of what makes us so great is the spirit of innovation, willingness to take risks, and willingness to break glass and come up with new ideas. And the idea that government is bloated and has bureaucracies to contend with is not exactly novel. We all know, the trip to the DMV or many examples comes to mind. And so the fact that there's an effort in DC now to look for inefficiencies and dismantle them, I can't exactly think that it's such a bad idea at all. So I support the notion of making the government more efficient for sure.
Sometimes it feels like the dismantling is coming before the actual looking for inefficiencies, but we'll see how it works out over time.
I think we'll definitely see.
Yes, we will. Max, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.